The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Season 2. Episode 13. Sorry, I don't know how I can help a person prolong his life. It's against the law of nature. I can only help people avoid the bad things. Indeed, my master didn't teach me occult arts such as prolonging my life, and even if I did, I wouldn't want to do those things. It's not in my power to help. After saying those words to Mr. Harris, I got out of there and took a taxi home. On the way back, I thought a lot. Each thought kept going back and forth in my head, but I couldn't grasp any specific thoughts in the end. When I got home, as soon as I opened the door, I heard the water running inside the bathroom. Hey Big D, why did you leave so early today? Don't you have a date with a beauty today? I thought I had to go all day? I saw that the person inside the bathroom was Big D, so I immediately criticized him and asked my questions. Normally, it would be easy to come back so early if he had such a good time. Or do something to make the beauty displeased and leave in the middle of. I got into the house, took off my coat, but still haven't heard from Big D. I walked over to the kitchen faucet, poured myself a glass of water to rinse my mouth, and said another sentence. I had just swallowed the first mouthwash, and before I could grasp it at all, Big D walked out of the toilet. As soon as I saw his face, I bothered to spit the water out of my mouth. What are you doing to make your face look so horrible? Where did you fall? What's wrong? I got hit there. Who knew that girl who had a boyfriend would agree to date me? Big D's face is swollen, his eyes are black. It turned out that the girl's boyfriend beat him until his face was swollen. I said before that I saw his black seal today, but he doesn't believe it. Now he deserves it. What are you laughing at? Are you happy to see me beaten like that? Or do you want to be beaten like me? As soon as I heard the reason he was beaten, I burst out laughing. When Big D saw me gloating like that, he glared at me. Oh, where? I can't. I'll go buy medicine and then go beat the person who beat you. It's okay. There's no need to avenge me, just buy some medicine for me. After I said that, I quickly ran away. Big D heard me asking for revenge and stopped me. Just kidding him, but who knows who hit him for revenge. I ran downstairs, went to a nearby pharmacy and bought some medicine, then held the oil in one hand and put the other in my pocket, and slowly walked home. This brat, dare not listen to us? We want you to kneel. I went back by a different route from before. Halfway there, I saw many kids. They were dressed in dusty clothes, and they were bullying a boy who looked quite meek. Kid, get on your knees and learn the sound of a dog barking. We'll spare you if you do it a few times. The closer I got, the more I heard the rude demands of the delinquents who were bullying the poor boy. We're soft, but you don't listen. Come on, brat, hurry up and bark at the dog. I saw the bullied kid react vehemently, but then he got kicked in the knee by a ruffian and forced him to his knees. Hurry up. They kept making terrible demands and forcing him to do it, even kicking him with his feet many times. But he didn't want to, and he just cried, tears filling his face. Okay, if you don't bark, then we'll play another game. If you don't drink, you want to drink fine wine, right? If you don't bark, let your brother water you with some water. While saying that, the delinquent boy reached out to unfasten his belt and buckle his pants. I think I know what he's going to do next to humiliate him. Hey, guys, bullied the weak is not good. Please stop. At this point, of course, I can't ignore him being humiliated. I immediately approached and shouted, "What? Fuck off. Don't stick your nose everywhere, dog." It looks like these kids aren't normal spoiled brats. I was just about to dissuade one sentence, but one of them quickly took out a sharp knife. Then, the delinquent boy did not have time to fasten his belt, and before he could unzip his pants, he took a knife and stabbed me. I stood still and smiled. As soon as I saw the knife was close to me, I immediately dodged to the side, then quickly put my foot on the leg of the brat that was pretending to be a delinquent. I kicked the kid who hadn't unzipped his pants, and then he fell to the ground. His pants fell down almost halfway, this scene looking very hilarious. His accomplices saw that I had just defeated his comrade rushed to attack me. I also made a similar move on him. In the end, all 3 boys and girls, both male and female, fell to the ground. Not only did they fall, but they also fell in a very rude and hilarious position. It was really worth it. They all have a taste of their own medicine. You wait, don't get excited. Watch out for us. After a few minutes, the gangsters helped each other to stand up. Each one of them was a teenager, but they even raised their voices to warn me. What? Do you want to fight me again? When I heard the threats, I threw the massage oil bottle in my hand, then asked with a fierce face if they wanted to be beaten again. My face was tense at that time. Those brats were, of course, scared by my actions. They've just been humiliated and beaten by me. How dare they fight me anymore? They're just good at speaking. After I chased away those scoundrels, I looked around, but I didn't see the bullied boy anywhere. Well, this kid is so clueless, not even a word of thanks. Although I did complain a little on the outside, but actually, I didn't ask for my random good deeds to definitely receive a thank you. The other boy must have been scared, so he hurriedly left. It's true that there are kids everywhere trying to be delinquents. Back in the day when I was in the country, I also met a few cases, rebellious age. I just went and tossed the bottle of massage oil in my hand, thinking so hard that I almost dropped it. After the part where I almost dropped the bottle of massage oil, of course, I held it properly for the rest of the way. Then I got home and gave it to Big D, and then I took a short lunch break. Hey Gregory, there's good news. There is a new business. It was around 3 o'clock when I woke up. While I was getting dressed, I hadn't even finished dressing properly when Big D pushed the door of my room and ran in without knocking. Fat, don't you know the minimum courtesy is knocking in and out of someone's room? I'm extremely annoyed with Big D's behavior. I know even though this is his house, you can't just break into someone's room. He's a pig. Come on, don't get angry. I just received a new business that is your specialty. Seeing that I looked angry, Big D immediately laughed to make peace. Again? Are you not going to let me rest? I'm pretty much dressed up now, my tie is almost done, but I'm still pissed. Come on, if you can make money, you have to earn a little more. What a greedy guy. He always loves money. I don't understand why Master let this guy torment my body like that. I walked for a while, and then I was so angry that I had to turn around and glare at him to vent my anger. Don't be angry anymore. This case sounds right to your expertise. Nothing will make it difficult for you and we will earn good money. Listen to me already. Big D kept using sweet words to convince me. It's not that he persuades me, but I'm bothered by being talked about, so I have to listen to him. There is an old business friend of mine who has a problem to ask for help, which has to do with his son. But wait, you put on your coat first. I'll tell you more clearly when you get out of the car. Big D seems to be afraid that I won't take the case, so he looks as considerate as possible. I don't have to deal with it anymore. Grab a sandwich and follow Big D to the car. Why? Now tell me the specific situation. Here's the thing. My old business deal was a furniture store owner named Young. He has only one son. But I don't understand why recently the other boy keeps encountering strange phenomena. Some supernatural force keeps forcing him to strangle himself. When I heard this, I understood a little bit. Maybe Big D heard about the other person's situation and brought me to advertise. Who? He? I know the whole thing. I wear clogs in his belly. As we walked and talked, we soon arrived. Oh hello, Mr. King has come. We parked the car in a hidden corner, and then I followed Big D to the front of Mr. Young. Big D rang the bell. A few seconds later, a man opened the door and greeted us. Mr. Young hastily invited us into the house. Big D seems to be quite close with this person named Young. He put his arm around Mr. Young and quickly said some flattering words to me. As for me, I seem to meet an acquaintance here. It's you. The acquaintance here is the scoundrel with a knife who tried to stab me before. When we saw each other, our eyes were filled with fire. I'm back, and I probably won't accept this case. The kid and I glared at each other for a while. Then I left a sentence with Big D and turned my back to leave. Hey, Mr. King, what's wrong with him? Why did you leave all of a sudden? Hey Gregory, didn't you agree with me to help solve this case? Why did you leave at the last minute? Both Young and Big D were surprised by my reaction. Big D seems to be quite angry, and he don't understand why my attitude is like that. Mr. King, I beg you, please advise him to help my son. I'm afraid that if I wait too long, something bad will happen. Mr. Young saw that I didn't react, so he grabbed the fat man's shoulders and begged him to convince me. Okay, Mr. Young, don't worry, I'll go talk to him right now. Hey Gregory, why did you suddenly turn around at the last minute? Aren't these both your job and your responsibility? I was almost out the door at this point, but Big D chased me over and over again and convinced me. I don't want to help the other man's son. That brat even attacked me with a knife. I was quite upset and reacted quite harshly to this. Even though it's my responsibility to use my yin-yang eyes to help others, shouldn't everyone deserve help? Didn't you have nothing to do in the end? With your personality, you've probably already given him a fight. Don't compare it with that kid. No, don't compare it with money, young man. Actually, now I'm not angry anymore. I'm just a little unwilling to help. Okay, hurry up and follow me to see what's going on. Don't compare yourself to a kid. You're an adult, right? This fat guy, to say the least. What's the point of manipulating me? Also, how childish is that big-headed brat? At most, this time, I will give you a lot more. I'm not greedy for money. It's just that I don't know if it's because I'm soft-hearted or because Big D's persuasion is good, but I listen to him every time. Invite you two for tea. Mr. Gregory, my son is young and immature. He is old, but he is not wise. If he does something wrong, please generously forgive him. I apologize on his behalf. When I saw Big D pulling me back, Mr. Young seemed very happy. He quickly invited us to sit, make tea and apologize profusely. He must have heard his son talking about him and me while I was talking with Big D. Okay, it's okay. You quickly report everything to us, so we can help you solve it. Big D saw that the atmosphere was still tense and quickly broke up, but both I and the other brat stared at each other without saying a word. Waited a while but did not see his son say a word, so Mr. Young quickly replaced his son to tell the story. Son, open the door, I'll bring you coffee. As usual, every afternoon, Harris brought a cup of coffee up to his son's room. Boy, but knocking and shouting loudly for a long time, but Harris still did not see his son open the door, did not see the boy react, and the door was not locked, so Harris opened the door. When he saw what was going on inside, Harris dropped his coffee cup in panic. Save me. Inside the room, by the window, his son Harris was hanging by the curtain. When he saw this, he quickly ran back in panic. What stupid game are you playing? Harris struggled to remove the curtain from his son's neck. Then, due to the misunderstanding that the boy had hanged himself, he angrily shouted, "You're not crazy to do that yourself." But when he heard that the boy heard his father yelling like that, he immediately objected. He immediately told his father that just now, he was lying on his homework when he suddenly heard a rustle on the curtains. Then he sat up, the curtain moving harder and harder. As he approached, suddenly, the curtains seemed to be under the influence of some force, pulling him back and strangling him. It doesn't just stop there. Father, let me tell you. At this point, the brat finally opened his mouth, no longer pretending to be mute. He told me that 2 nights ago when he was listening to music with headphones on, he fell asleep at some point. While sleeping, he heard a tickle in his neck and soon felt his neck being squeezed. What strangled him was the headset he was wearing. Something squeezed him to the point of almost suffocation. The boy had to use all his strength to be able to rip the rope, making it no longer able to strangle him. I don't think this is an act my son could do stupidly. These things are really strange. When this brat finished talking, I saw that his face was all pale. He must have been scared, no joking. His father told me he couldn't do it. I don't think the brat, "Ah no, Mr. Junior Young here can't do anything to harm himself. Stop talking nonsense, open your glasses and have a look. By the way, I made a sarcastic remark. Big D, sitting next to me, urged me to open my glasses to see what happened. I didn't feel any fun at all, so I went back to my duties. I quickly stood up and took my glasses off my face. As soon as I took off my dark glasses, I seemed to see something. I took a closer look and discovered that, right behind the delinquent boy, there was a ghost standing, the ghost of a boy, and besides, this ghost looked so familiar to my eyes, I feel like I've seen it somewhere. The boy's ghost looked at the delinquent's back with indignant eyes. I couldn't see very well, so I went closer to see where I saw this boy's ghost. What's up? Is there something behind me? The delinquent kid can't see ghosts, but I think he must have felt a bit of cold on his back. This brat saw me getting closer little by little, then he was startled, panicked and asked me, then looked around. When I moved closer to the ghost, I knew where I had seen it. This is the spirit of the bullied boy I helped before. His soul seems to have died unjustly, so it turned into a resentful spirit. There's even a rope hanging from his neck, probably dead by suicide or something like that. I decided to move a little closer and try touching his soul to see if I could see anything. As in previous times, as soon as I touched the soul, a series of images immediately appeared in front of my eyes, which is probably the real experience of this resentful spirit. Last time, you were lucky, so there was that pig to help you. This time let me see if anyone else can come and rescue you. If not, let us make you famous. No, no, don't, please spare me. I saw the boy being bullied again, in which the kid was Mr. Young. This time he was accompanied by 2 other delinquents, who were even more humiliating to the poor boy than last time. This time, they held the boy tightly, then tried to pull down his pants. The oligarch took his phone to take a picture to post it online, even though the poor boy kept crying and begging.